Hello friends, we are going to discuss Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem A Psalm of Life as part of this course. We will see the objectives, the life and writings of the poet, read the poem A Psalm of Life, discuss the theme, form, language and literary devices used in this poem. We will also examine certain human relationships and some meanings that we can derive from this poem. The whole poem deals with the importance of time. Our life is short, so we have one slide specifically on the importance of time. We will compare Longfellow with Kipling, Tennyson and Milton with reference to a few key words. Many of these great writers, they give us something called inspiration, motivation, optimism, whatever we consider it. There are some takeaways from this poem. We will look at them and then summarize our discussion. Here are the objectives. To know about the life and writings of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. To read and discuss his poem A Psalm of Life. To pay attention to the theme, form, language and literary devices used in the poem. To examine human relationships, useful reflections on life and of course the importance of time. To compare Longfellow with John Milton, Lord Tennyson and Rudyard Kipling. Let's see the life of Longfellow. His full name is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was born in 1807 and he died in 1882. He was an American professor and poet. One of the 19th century American poets is Walt Whitman. At that time, in his own lifetime, Walt Whitman was not recognized as a great poet. But today, Walt Whitman is considered the national poet of US. So, unlike Walt Whitman, Longfellow was very popular in his own lifetime, but today he is forgotten. Though he is forgotten, for the rest of his writings, he is chiefly remembered for this one poem, A Psalm of Life. He was an optimistic and inspiring poet in his own day. People loved him. He had his own personal losses, first in the loss of his first wife and then in the death of his second wife. He proved that there is a second or even third life for everyone. Once we lose something doesn't mean that is the end of life. We can keep on moving. Whatever number of losses we may come across doesn't matter. Keep on moving, you will find something very useful. Here is a beautiful quotation from Longfellow for us. If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each man's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. Look at all your enemies. They would also have their own sorrows and sufferings. Then why do we have this vengeful feeling of destroying our enemies? All of us go through the same sufferings in our life. Here are the writings of Longfellow. We have some volumes like Voices of the Night, Ballads and other poems. The Song of Hiawatha, here Hiawatha means a tribal chief. The Miles Standish and other poems. Tales of a Wayside Inn, which is a translation of Dante's Divine Comedy. It is considered to be one of the best translations used by people all over the world. We have some individual poems like Paul Revere's Ride, which is a song of bravery during the Civil War in America. The most famous poem for which he is remembered today is A Psalm of Life, which was published in 1839. Now let's come to the poem A Psalm of Life, which has a subtitle, What the Young Man Said to the Psalmist. It was first published in the magazine The Knickerbocker in 1838. Later it was again published in a volume called Voices of the Night in 1839. It is a philosophical poem of optimism and stoicism. It is also a song of celebration of life. Psalm actually means a song, a celebration. This poem is a rebuttal of the young man in the subtitle to the psalmist. The psalmist says something and then in return the young man replies, and so we have the whole poem as a rebuttal, as a kind of reply to the psalmist. Here we have all the stanzas. We have only 9 stanzas actually. So we are able to have all of them together here. First 3 stanzas are here. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Does the war to dust thou returnest was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Next 3 stanzas. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dread past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God overhead. We have given the meaning of the word bivouac in the 5th stanza. It means a temporary tent. He uses some military image here. Soldiers are there, they are waiting in a tent to fight with the enemies. Here are the last 3 stanzas. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another sailing over life's solemn main, if forlorn and shipwrecked brothers sing, shall take heart again. Let's then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. You could have noticed some change in my reading of this poem. It's very fast paced, because the rhythm, the meter is different. When we come to the form of the poem, we will see that. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. That's the whole crux of the poem. Let's keep on doing something useful for ourselves and for others as well, particularly for others. Here are some questions to understand the poem. If you ask these questions, you will find the answer. What is life? Life is real. What is the goal of life? Not death. What is our destiny? To work, to keep on moving. What is the difference between art and life? Art is long, life is short. What should a person be? Be a hero. What should we do in the present? Act in the living present. What can we learn from great men and women? We can learn a lot. We can do something for the people who will come after us. What do we leave behind? Footprints on the sands of time. What should we always do? Still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. That's what we have to do. So these questions will help us to understand every stanza that we have in this poem. Let's see the thematic contrast we have in this poem. We have optimism, positivity and perseverance. That's the crux of this poem, which is contrasted with pessimism or negativity. Spiritual soul is never dying, whereas this material body may die. Life and death, these two are contrasted. Eternity and temporality. Our life is very short. Stagnation and growth. We may be stuck with something or we may keep on growing. Art and life, these two are contrasted. Present, past and future, all 3 aspects of time are contrasted in this poem. Great lives and ordinary lives. We can take something from great lives and live our ordinary lives. We can also have hope as against desolation given by some people or from the environment. Patience and impatience. If we are impatient, we will not be able to achieve. Patience is what we need to develop, cultivate in our life. And the whole poem also deals with appearance and reality. What is life? Is it real or unreal? Something like Maya or illusion. The physical life may be something unreal. The spiritual life is always there. Soul never dies. That's what the poet says. When we come to the formal analysis of the poem, we can see that this is a psalm of life, that is a song of life. Psalm means actually a sacred, a holy song, particularly in religious poetry. A psalmist is a person who writes psalms, that is poems of celebration. A psalter is a book of sacred songs. We have such a book in the Old Testament, the book of Psalms. One of the most popular psalms from the Old Testament is this: be strong and take heart, all you hope in the Lord. Believe, that's the whole idea. Believe in God, believe in yourself. In the religious context, it may be belief in God, but in the secular context, it may be belief in one's own self, one's own activity. We have more details about the form of this poem. We have the title, A Psalm of Life, and the subtitle, What the Heart of the Young Man Said to the Psalmist. There are 36 lines and 9 stanzas, and each stanza has 4 lines. The rhyme scheme of this poem is AB AB. Now we come to the rhythm. The rhythm is trochee, that means we have a strong and weak syllable pattern in this poem. And also, unlike some other poems that we have seen, the meter of this poem is tetrameter. When we have trimeter and tetrameter, the rhythm of the poem will be fast paced, that is you will feel that you are reading it fast or saying it fast. When the movement is slow, then we will have pentameter or hexameter. Here we have this example of tetrameter. Let's then be up and doing. Life is but an empty dream. In the last case, life is but an empty dream. In the last case, we have one incomplete syllable. Only one syllable is there, but doesn't make much difference. When we look into the language of this poem, we find that it is all about imperative, invitation, definition, negation, exclamation, comparison, and we also have repetition, and specifically we have present participle, which is often used in this poem, and also we have capitalization of certain words. Tell me not, that's how the whole poem begins. Imperative, it's something like a command. There is an invitation. Let's then be up and doing. At the beginning it begins tell me not, at the end it says let's then be up and doing. There is a kind of definition in life is real, an attempt at defining life in the whole poem. Life is real, not an empty dream. There is also an effort to use negations to define things. Things are not what they seem. We have of course some exclamations, strong feelings are expressed. Life is real, life is earnest. We have the whole comparison between body on the one hand, soul on the other. Body lives for a short time, but soul lives for long. So we can see the connection between art and soul and life and body. We have repetition of words like heart repeated 4 times and not repeated 5 times. The present participle examples are ing forms of verbs in fleeting, beating, living, departing, sailing, seeing, doing, achieving, pursuing. That means you can understand very clearly that it is a continuous process. Why do you stop it? Participate in the process or the flow of life. We have some specific cases of capitalization for the word life, time, future, past, present. That means there is an attempt to personify these abstract terms. When you look into the literary devices of this poem, we find metaphor, simile, transferred epithet, allusion, alliteration, and there may be others as well. You can look into it if you pay more attention. For metaphor, we have the examples of and our hearts beating, funeral marches to the grave. Marches that you will find in military, but here you see the military life and common life, these two are compared. In the bivouac of life, in the temporary tent that we have in this life, it's a long journey, it's only a temporary phase of our life. Sailing over like solemn main, sailing on the sea. The shipwrecked sailor is another metaphor, huge metaphor that is often used in our literature. All those people who suffer in life are compared with shipwrecked sailors. We have the simile in like muffled drums. Be not like dumb, driven cattle, be a hero. Here again we have the comparison, explicit comparison. Don't be dumb like cattle. Speak, do something on your own, drive your own life, don't allow others to drive your life. We have mournful numbers for the transferred epithet. The numbers, the lines, the songs, they are not mournful, the qualities are added to the numbers. We have the allusion in dust the war to dust returnest. Dust the war to dust returnest in line 7. We also have learn to labor and to wait. We have the biblical reference in the first case, dust the war to dust returnest, and in the case of learn to labor and to wait, we have the reference to John Milton, and also we have some kind of reference to Lord Tennyson. We have alliteration in learn to labor. As I said earlier, we can find many other examples to appreciate the poem which is so popular. There are certain aspects of human relationships which are very useful for us. The young man's rebuttal to the psalmist is what we find when somebody says something, we reply. Sometimes we reply vehemently. We have the voice of the poet, which is something given to the mind of the reader. We also have motivation for human beings in critical times. Understanding a higher reality can be a driving force to live our life meaningfully. We know that life is not so real as we imagine. It may be something like an illusion, but the poet says life is real. The only reality is death that may come to us, but then we have to live our life meaningfully before death knocks at our door. As everyone knows, life is a battle, it's a struggle, we have to participate, only then we can overcome it. We can help each other as we sail through this life. We all of us are sailors. The whole life is a kind of sea. We have cyclone, we have all waves, and restless sea we have all kinds of animals. We have to go through this life. The needs of others are like our own. We have to understand every one of us needs some kind of company, joy, support, some harbor we need. We have to stay in one place. We need some rest, and we can help each other. We can extend our helping hand and save ourselves. Helping others is actually helping oneself. If you help somebody, somebody else will help you. That's the whole idea. Let's see the reflections on life now. Life is real, not a dream nor an illusion. That's what the poet says. Everyone can play the role of a hero in whatever situation one is in. If we pay attention to our soul, then we can understand it as a key to life, living our life. We can leave something memorable and useful to humanity. People after us will find whatever we do useful to them. Words of encouragement are always useful to people in difficulties, like the shipwrecked sailor. We need not do something physically for them, but certain words of encouragement are always useful. Death will come one day. Only the body dies, not the soul, according to the poet. Some others may have a different opinion. Our soul lives forever. That is the idea of transcendentalism, a philosophy which was popular in 19th century America, which was shared by Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. It is a matter of time. All problems are surmountable. We can overcome all problems. A poem-like quotation on the importance of time from Edwin C. Bliss, who was an American business consultant and author of Getting Things Done. Yesterday is a cancelled check, forget it. Tomorrow is a promissory note, don't count on it. Today is ready cash, use it wisely. The whole meaning of the poem of Longfellow is summed up in this poem. Yesterday is a cancelled check, forget it. Tomorrow is a promissory note, don't count on it. Today is ready cash, use it wisely. That wisdom, where do you get it from? Like old people, we can get it from, certainly. By reading some poems like this, we can get some good old wisdom. We have a comparison between Longfellow and three other writers like Kipling, Tennyson and Milton. In Longfellow's poem, A Song of Life, we have some lines like this. We can make our life sublime, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait, be a hero in the strife. These lines echo some of the ideas from John Milton's On His Blindness. When we read a line like this, they also serve who stand and wait. Learn to labor and to wait brings to our mind the line, they also serve who stand and wait. Similarly, still pursuing, be a hero in the strife, these two lines echo in us when we read Lord Tennyson's Ulysses, again another motivating poem for all of us. To strive, to seek and not to yield is the purpose of Ulysses, and similarly it is the purpose of Longfellow in A Song of Life. We have another motivating poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. He was an imperialist poet, he was a colonial poet, he was a British poet. Some of the writers or people may not like his imperial leanings or his philosophy or ideology, but then one thing that we can understand from this poem is some kind of optimism to live our own life meaningfully, whether colonial, post-colonial, that is immaterial. We have to live our life So we can think about this line from "If yours is the earth and everything that is in it." Kipling may not have included the colonized people, but today we can appropriate it for ourselves. We can use it. Who can prevent us from using good ideas from any part of the world? Here are certain takeaways for us from this poem. Never take appearance for reality. Understand what life is very clearly. Our body may meet with death, but our soul lives forever. Understand that death is not the goal of life. We may die, that is part of our life, but we have some other goal to achieve something and leave it behind us. Live your life every day in the present. No one can stop time flying, but we can do something before time stops for us. Be a hero of your life and do something useful for the world. Never imagine that only certain heroes in films and epics or stories, they are heroes. Everyone is a hero in his own life. The father at home is a hero for the child. The daughter at home is a heroine for the mother. So heroes and heroines are there in every family. Even an individual can be heroic, like the old man we have in Hemingway or Wordsworth. Leave your footprints on the sands of time as some guidance for the suffering fellow humans. No one can escape suffering. However rich, however educated, however handsome, everyone will have to go through suffering. That is part of our life. Wait, try, achieve and pursue. Wait has another meaning of serving. Serve, make an effort, achieve something for yourself, and after that don't stop. After every achievement, go on further. After one goal, go to the next goal, go to the next one. Keep on doing, achieving till you die. We can compare one quotation from Swami Vivekananda here. Arise, awake and stop not till you reach your goal. That is a golden quotation from Swami Vivekananda. We can also remember this in the context of a psalm of life, and live our life, achieve something in our life and do something useful for others and ourselves. To summarize the poem, we have seen the objectives of reading a psalm of life. Before that, we also looked into the life and writings of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a 19th century American poet. He was very popular in his own day, unlike Walt Whitman. Today, Longfellow may not be considered a great poet, but he is chiefly remembered for this particular poem, A Song of Life. The reason is he gives so much of hope for people who read this poem. We listed 9 questions to understand the 9 stanzas that we have in this poem. We paid attention to the theme, form, language and literary devices used in this poem, understood that it all talks about optimism, help, support for everyone. We found certain human relationships in this poem and looked into the reflections which will be useful for us. Particularly, we paid attention to the importance of time by quoting Bliss. We have compared Longfellow with Kipling, Tennyson and Milton to understand that every great writer who cares for the world gives something useful to the world. The takeaways are: life is real, live your life, body may die, don't worry about it, think about your soul. As many of the writers, idealistic writers, mostly when you think about soul, you become idealistic, you never lose hope. We live our life for ourselves and for others as long as we live. Here are some more references which you can refer to and learn more about A Sum of Life and Longfellow and all about optimism. Be optimistic, be a hero in your life. All the best.